Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to exCEPtional Morning's Breakfast. Everybody good? All right, with that, now that you've found your seats, would you please rise? We'd like to welcome up Chick-fil-A owner and operator here locally, Jeremy Williams, to lead us in our prayer and pledge.
Good morning, guys. Good to see everybody's face. We didn't know what kind of turnout we would have being spring break, but it's great to see this place full. If you will, bow your heads with me as we go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, I just ask that you bring calm this morning and just quiet into this place. We welcome you into this place. Lord, we're grateful. We come to you grateful for the breath in our lungs and the life in our body. Lord, we pray for our nation right now. We pray for our service members, men and women that are away. We pray for their families that are back home through this time. And Lord, we just ask that you be with Dan this morning and the words that he shares that are a biblical principle base, that are so timely and timeless. And we just ask all these gracious, amazing things in your name. Amen. If you guys will face the flag, we're going to say the pledge this morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jeremy. All right, lots of new partners once again this month. If you're here when I say your name, please stand. At the end, we're going to give you a big round of applause for all of our new partners and a couple of upgraded partners as well. ADR Wall Systems, LLC. Assisted Consulting, LLC. Amon Tax and Accounting. ARC Hospice of Florida, LLC. Be Found Digital, Inc., BNI Union of Champions, Bojangles, Cabinets to Go, Carbon Wave Media, Equipment Parts Services and Consulting, LLC, Full Systems, LLC, Horse Spot, Improve Equine, Ivy on the Square, John's Franchise Holdings Corporation, Kayaking with Sassy, DBA, Sassy Springside Outfitter, Longbridge Financial, LLC, Martinez Roofing Solutions, LLC, My Venus Club, Ocala Psychology, Papa John's Pizza, Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, Reputable Plumbing, Stone World Surfaces, Yellowstone Landscape, Seminole Office Solutions, and a new Founders Club partner of the CEP. I want to please welcome MCS Insulation, Inc. to the CEP family. They take pride in helping North Central Florida homeowners create more comfortable, energy-efficient homes built to last. So a Founders Club partner, brand new. Excited to have them as well. Two partner upgrades. Harmony Business Solutions, they have upgraded from business to premium, and Meldon Law has upgraded from business to leadership. Now, one more round of applause for all of our new and upgraded CEP partners. Not only is Ocala growing, but so are the chamber partnerships. So grateful for each partner that is investing into our mission and to be the catalyst for a prosperous community. CEP 101 partner orientation is sponsored by Pixel-M. And speaking of new partners, this is an opportunity for you to network with other partners, find out more about the programs and services, and learn how to maximize your benefits to get that better return on your investment. The next session is coming up next week, and that is March the 25th. Business After Hours, a community staple, as you know, for over 3.5 decades. It is tomorrow. It is CEP's cornerstone networking event. Join several hundred fellow CEP partners for casual networking, along with food, beverage, and door prizes. This month's Business After Hours, I know, is going to be a lot of fun. I think the weather's going to be great. It is sponsored by Florida Kids Helping Kids. It will be at the I-75 Flea Market tomorrow, 5 to 7 p.m. p.m. You got to come out for that. Thank you to Florida Kids Helping Kids for being our host for Business After Hours this month. Tuesday Talks is sponsored by Cogent Bank, and the next session will be coming up on April the 7th. Erin Friel, I know she's here today. Erin will show and share how she reinvented her career after 20 years in marketing to become a leading commercial real estate broker. She'll connect productivity, decision-making, bold pivots to investing, and building wealth through commercial real estate. That is Tuesday Talks, sponsored by our great friends at Cogent Bank. Our Bellevue events, if you're looking for more and more chances to network, look no further than Bellevue. Check out the two great opportunities, as always, Bellevue on the Rise and Bellevue Business After Hours. All Bellevue CEP events are open to all CEP partners as part of your partnership benefits. Continue making connections and networking down in South Marion. You can register yourself or any of your employees for all of our programs and events through your CEP partner portal. Well, our CEP partners, that's you guys, now have a new way to share stories, press releases, and important announcements through partner news. Submissions can be made directly through, again, your partner portal, and once approved, content will be featured on our website for both of our partners and the public to see. This is a great opportunity to increase your visibility, highlight your accomplishments, and just keep the community informed overall, all in one place. Check it out, ocalaCEP.com/news. Well, the Inc. 5000 list recognizes the most successfully privately held companies in the United States. This prestigious ranking celebrates businesses that are scaling rapidly, creating jobs, and driving innovation. Why apply for this? Well, you can gain national recognition as a top-performing company, enhance your credibility with customers, investors, and partners, join an elite community of high-growth business leaders, and boost brand exposure through Inc. 5000's media coverage. And get this, the CEP will sponsor the application fee for the first 5 CEP partners that qualify. So please reach out to our good friend Freddie Morris, Freddie at ocalacep.com for more details on that. The Ocala Metro CEP Foundation, and on your screen, these are companies and individuals who have made great donations to support the CEP Foundation. Just in the last month, we are grateful for all of your support of the CEP's programs and initiatives. Can we give a round of applause to all of these folks, please? Yes. Very much appreciated. Well, this morning, our nonprofit spotlight is Fine Arts for Ocala, bringing vibrant arts experiences to our community for over 60 years. Incredible. FAFO has been going on for so long. Their 2 signature events, Symphony Under the Stars and the Ocala Fine Arts Festival, every year attract thousands of residents and visitors while supporting arts education and cultural opportunities across Marion County. These events are made possible through the support of local business and community leaders. If your organization is interested in sponsoring or attending any of these events, we certainly encourage you to connect with the Fine Arts of Ocala team. They have a table in the lobby after the program. Go meet them and say hi. Please join me in thanking Fine Arts for Ocala for their incredible work that they do to enrich our community through the arts. Yes. Thank you to FAFO. All right, as always, we appreciate our 2026 series sponsor for our great exceptional mornings breakfast every month, and that is HCA Florida Healthcare. With that, I'd like to welcome up our friend Isaiah Zirkle, who is the CEO of West Marion.
My name's Donald Doxtayer. I'm a licensed massage therapist. I've been a massage therapist for 23 years. My job is to relax people and help them be able to go back to work feeling good. It was 12 o'clock, New Year's Eve. I dropped a scratch disc and I went to pick it up and I fell flat on the floor and I couldn't move. I was sitting there, laying there grappling, what is going on? I didn't know what hit me. And I got a call off to my friend, and she told me to call 911. So I did. They couldn't understand me. My speech was slurred. Time is everything with a stroke. The more it sets in, the more damage can happen.
When Donald was admitted to West Marion Rehab Center, after his stroke, our rehabilitation program consists of physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. We also have comprehensive rehab nursing. It is a 24-hour-a-day program, so he was very willing to jump in and get involved and to make a difference in his own life.
I was just determined. I wanted to go back to my life. So I pushed really hard. You have to. You got to fight.
Patients are choosing to come here largely because of word of mouth when they hear about their loved one that was able to now play with their grandchildren again, or another family member that's able to read and talk again, where previously they couldn't because they had a stroke. Our team is getting them back up on their feet and back into the community as they were before.
HCA really showed up for me. They were there for me. They gave me tools. They helped me get my life back.
Well, thank you. Honored to present that, and I appreciate you all hearing us every month. You're probably getting tired of HCA, Florida Healthcare, but we're going to keep doing it. So very grateful also to have some of our leaders with our inpatient rehab hospital. We've got Dr. Palmer here, Mary Jo, Jen, some of our key leaders that helped us to gain the first DNV stroke accreditation in the nation for a rehab hospital. So I have a lot of confidence in the care that our team provides for stroke patients like Donald, who's here with us today. So I'd love to give them a round of applause. Couple more slides here. There we go. So recently received the Patient Safety Excellence Award at both HCA Florida Ocala Hospital and HCA Florida West Marion Hospital for health grades. This is the 9th year in a row that we've received this award. Again, just increasing your confidence in the care that you provide when you walk through our doors. And then, always love to highlight this, the Thank a Teacher program through the Marion County Public Education Foundation, something that we love to participate in. There's a QR code that you can scan here if you're looking for ways to get involved. This is an incredible support to our public education system, and I encourage you to participate and get involved as well. So thank you, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Isaiah, and thank you again to HCA Florida Healthcare for being our series sponsor every month here at exCEPtional Mornings Breakfast. Well, our March breakfast sponsor is Advanced Welding and Fabrication. They could not be here with us this morning, but they are a general contractor that specializes in design and engineering, and they are a great Founders Club partner of the CEP Advanced Welding. Can we just give them a real warm round of applause, please? Thank you for all that Advanced Welding does in our community, and certainly in their support of the CEP, and great work as a great business. Well, with that, we are all, I know, very excited about today's speaker, Dan T. Cathy of Chick-fil-A. To introduce him, I'd like to welcome back up Chick-fil-A's own Jeremy Williams.
All right, welcome again, guys. So I get the honor of introducing Dan Cathy. His current role with Chick-fil-A is chairman of the board. Want to do a little bit of housekeeping as well. We also, in our presence today, have Drew Hart, who's the owner-operator of the Paddock Mall, along with some of his leadership team. If you guys will give us a wave, let's welcome them as well. Drew's been a welcome addition into our community. Also, all you guys got a mini-moo when you walked in today. It's got a little necklace on it. We're trying to make life as easy as possible. What I learned through going through this process with Dan, we're going to do a little fireside chat for you. It's like having a hit group that had years of hit songs, and they get a 20-minute song list. And so having to decide the topics, what are we going to cover, what does everybody want to hear the most of, is very much like trying to pick out those hit songs in a short amount of time. What I'm offering you guys on that, we're going to make it as easy as possible. We'll take your phone and scan that. That'll take you to our landing page, and you can place a catering order directly with us. If there's a topic or something that you want to dive deeper into, use and abuse me. Call it a lunch and learn. Place a catering order for your business with us. Send us an email at Chick-fil-A Ocala or West Ocala, and you get me for free. All right, so there you go. I've already had a couple people mention, if you've heard me speak in the community before, you were a little nervous I was going to make you get up and dance today. Relax. You guys are not going to have to get up and dance today. But without further ado, I'd like you guys to give a warm welcome. Stand on your feet and welcome Dan Cathy, Chairman of Chick-fil-A.
Thank you. Good to have all our Chick-fil-A folks here. I'm not sure if anyone's going to show up, so I'm glad we had our hometown support. And Jeremy, thank you. I've got to say a word of shout out to how much I've enjoyed being here in Ocala. And just to tell you just a quick story, my wife and I started dating when we were just teenagers. We actually met when we were only 6 years old in elementary school. She had cooties back then. But when she turned 16, all those cooties completely disappeared. Incredible transformation that took place. And we started dating, but I learned very early that because I lived on a farm with horses, that was a distinctive competitive advantage for me. And so she's always loved horses, just read The Black Stallion, all kind of books as she was a child. So anyway, she loves horses, and if that's what she loves, I'm right there with her. Have enjoyed it very, very much. She started coming down here in the state of Florida during the wintertime, maybe 15 or 20 years or so ago. And we later bought a small little place down in Wellington, just west of West Palm. And but then we found out about the World Equestrian Center and the Roberts family and the amazing things that have taken place here. So it's a good example of staying on top of your game. You know, quite frankly, there was some complacency about that particular community. And the condition, they're now remodeling, but for us, they're about 10 years short, late on staying on top of their game. So it's a good example of a very competitive market. And our family, my wife and I, being an example of that. So Tasha Osmond, that's here, and Michael's got a great hat on. I always love seeing his hats. But Tasha was just terrific about showing us around at different properties. And so we're up about, about 10, 15 miles to the northwest of here. But have really enjoyed being here in this community. Also, I have memories of being here just a couple of weeks ago for the Chris Bodie concert. I'm a trumpet player, musician. Have long followed Chris Bodie, one of my great mentors from a music standpoint. But we love being here in this community. You've done a terrific job of growing this community, make it relevant. I see all the sky cranes and construction and so forth, and that's a sign of good health and staying very vibrant. So congratulations.
Well, as I've had the opportunity to get to know Dan over the last 20 years, it's been a privilege to get to call you a friend. And it's almost like we could do a did you know on you. Did you guys know that Dan was a state of Georgia state wrestling champion in high school? Did you know that Dan is a certified, well-accomplished pilot? Did you know that Dan is an accomplished trumpet player? There's so much depth to Dan. It's been a pleasure to get to know him. But let's go back to the beginning. One of the questions we get asked, so we got 4 topics we want to touch on for sure this morning. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, Chick-fil-A history, where you can go back to the foundation and what your mom and dad built with this. Can you give us how this whole thing even started?
Sure. It's a classic American success story, as we might say. And this May will be our 80th anniversary of being in the restaurant business. And not many businesses can make it 80 years, but right after World War II, my dad and his brother, at the age of 25, opened a small little restaurant called the Dwarf Grill in Hapeville, just south of Atlanta, just adjoining the Atlanta airport there. A tiny little place, that's why I called it the Dwarf Grill. There were a community of dwarfs actually that lived in our area. He had 10 stools at the counter, had a cigarette machine on one end, a jukebox machine on the other end. It was a typical classic American diner operation. And we're still in business there at this location on Central Avenue in Hapeville. We're now in our third building in 80 years. Restaurants can fall apart underneath the slab over a long period of time, so we had to reinvest. But it was in that little restaurant that he developed this product called a chicken steak sandwich. He could not register the name Chick-fil-A or chicken steak sandwich, so had to rename it and came up with this funny little word that filet breasts are sometimes thought of as the filet mignon of chicken. And so Chick-fil-A, A is in grade A. So all that came together for him, and that became our name. And we paid an artist $75 to design that logo that you see. The best $75 that we've spent ever in Chick-fil-A marketing from that standpoint. But began to expand in shopping malls. Paddock Mall that was here, I think we opened up here maybe in the early 80s. My wife and I were opening up malls, staying at Howard Johnson's hotels. Tasha Howard Johnson was a hotel chain that used to be here. It was remarkable to see the malling of America with Sears and Penny's and Rich's and Burdines and on and on and on. Large shopping malls, enclosed regional shopping malls. But the marketplace dynamic changed. And Sam Walton out of Bentonville, Arkansas, other big box retailers, the Home Depots, Walmarts. And so we had to transition our business and had to be responsive to the marketplace. Began to open up freestanding restaurants. And that really, our freestanding restaurants, they represent probably about 80% of our business now. In addition to mall locations, we're also in airports, university campuses, and also a lot of entertainment things like stadiums that have Chick-fil-A. We're probably in about 40 different stadiums maybe. And we're expanding internationally well. For years, I used to say we're international because we have restaurants in California. But I said on the radio that we're now in the land of fruit and nuts, and I got criticized for that, so I can't say that.
I remember that well.
But we've expanded up to Canada, Puerto Rico, and just opening up in London, and also opened up in October in Singapore. So this is kind of the era of international expansion for us. So to God be the glory, for the 80 years of watching this happen. My dad passed away about 12 years ago, and I was responsible for the business before that, since then, and then I just handed over the baton to my oldest son, Andrew Truett Cathy, who now at the age of 47 married. He married a young lady that was in marketing as he was running a store down at St. Pete. So we call that a Chick-fil-A-ship. When you fall in love with another person at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I got to imagine your dad, when this whole thing started 80 years ago, could he have ever imagined? I talked to an operator out in Texas this past week, and they're starting drone delivery of Chick-fil-A meals. And I'm sitting here thinking, could your dad have ever imagined being able to pick up a device, place an order, pay for it, swing by and pick it up, what this thing has grown and become? I also heard repeated said over and over that strategies will change, but your principles should not. Do you mind digging into that? Because that's such a cornerstone pillar of this business and what's allowed it to last as long as it has, going back to our corporate purpose.
Yeah. So I love what Jack Welch said. He was maybe the CEO of the century, if you will, with General Electric. But he said that when the rate of external change exceeds the rate of internal change, disaster is imminent. And so the robust economy that we live in, this capitalistic free enterprise system that is the model of the world's economy actually, the entrepreneurship, being responsive, anticipating where the puck is headed, leaning forward, anticipating things, experimenting with things, is really what keeps our economy so incredibly vibrant. And the reason we gather here today with the Chamber of Commerce, other business people, is we're here to sharpen our sword. We're here to learn. We're here to exchange contact information. We're here to make connections and so forth. And so this exercise that we have that goes all over the U.S. is a model of why our economy is so vibrant, so strong today, is because we're embracing, we're reaching forward, anticipating where the puck is headed. It is so critical for each one of us to be so aware of that external rate of change that we can be changing the color of the wallpaper and changing the carpet, and we can do some decorative kind of things, but if we're not fundamentally changing. I was at a conference this past weekend called the American Enterprise Institute. It's a big think tank group out of Washington, D.C., and one of the speakers talked about artificial intelligence. They run out of adjectives to describe how profound artificial intelligence is to our economy and for each one of us personally. But it was beyond just being like the transition of having electricity, far beyond just the internet. It is likened to the Industrial Revolution that took place in the 1800s, and that dramatically changed our economy. And so my encouragement to you, even though we're an 80-year-old family business, we have survived and we're actually thriving technologically against our competition. And it was really showcased during the COVID. When COVID hit, we already had a lot of that back of the house built into our systems, and it was integrated with our app that we developed. And we already had canopies that were going out. We built simulators at our corporate office, and we learned this from SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, of how to prototype and lean forward and anticipate change and build simulators. You know, Delta Airlines had simulators, you know, there in South Atlanta. But we had our own simulators. We have 3 health-certified simulators at our corporate office support center where we're simulating new technologies, new equipment, new systems. And because of that, you know, that's the reason that we really catapulted our business forward during the COVID years. And we're getting called upon now that the dysfunction of the TSA at airports, we're actually being asked, could we step in and intervene on behalf of, so we can get travelers moving through the airports faster. We could take it over if we want to sign a government contract. We can certainly do that. But anyway, I've just always been a proponent that we as leaders, we have to personify the anticipation of where the puck is headed. We got to be trying things, you know, let everybody else do with manage what's going on today. But as leaders, we have to lead. We have to step forward. We may be by ourselves. It's nervous, and this is why I've got, you know, in training on my name tag, because I'm still a trainee. I'm still trying things. Some things that don't work. I try to make my mistakes in as small an audience as possible. But I was with Bernie Marcus some while back, and he said Bernie Marcus was co-founder of Home Depot, and he and Arthur Blank and Ken Langhorne, of course, developed that. And he said, I used to travel around with Sam Walton with Walmart. I said, really? He said, yes, we'd go visit each other's stores. And we'd go into a Home Depot, and Sam Walton would tell Bernie Marcus all the things he needed to do to get his act together, you know, at a Home Depot. And then right across the parking lot, they're next to Walmart, and they'd go in there, and Bernie Marcus would tell him all the things he needed to do to get his act together, you know, over to Walmart. And that's exactly why they are so iconic leaders, is because they were there ready to learn, a teachable spirit, attitude of humility, attitude of trying things. Let's give it a try, a courageous attitude that's so important. I was so enamored by that conversation. I said, would Bernie Marcus, could I give you a tour of a Chick-fil-A? And you tell me some things I need to do to get my act together at Chick-fil-A. And I said, I'd love to go to Home Depot. I have no ideas as what I'm going to help you with. But we took the film crew over there as well. And one of the most profound conversations I've had in my professional life is when he told me, he said, I used to start my Monday morning meetings talking about all the mistakes that I'd made the previous week. I said, you'd start your executive committee meetings talking about mistakes you'd made in the previous. He said, oh yeah, I had plenty of things to talk about. And he said, as soon as I did, everybody else around the table, they started talking about some of the stupid stuff they had done the week before. And so we find out that the people that are really leading forward in defining the economy of tomorrow are making a lot of bets. They're trying a lot of stuff, and they're okay if it doesn't always work. And so when I was at Chick-fil-A and I saw these little name tags, I said, what are these little name tags in training? He said, well, these are people that are watching a lot of podcasts and reading your dad's books and watching videos. And beside that, if they're a trainee, then maybe the customer will be more patient with them because they're trying stuff they've never done before. I said, wow. I said, I'll take about 5 of those. And I stuck it on my name tag, not as a joke, but as a sincere, be patient with me. God's not finished with me yet. I thought it was going to work at home with my wife, Rhonda, but she said, I'm not going to cut you any slack because you better straighten up. So anyway, that's
What excites you the most, specifically Chick-fil-A, the Chick-fil-A brand? What right now are you most excited about when we talk about the future of our brand?
Yeah. I'm incredibly excited about how we're being accepted in other countries right now. We used to have to stand in front of a shopping mall location and give away 500 pounds of Chick-fil-A samples, just to teach people how to say the name. But today with social media, you can be a globally recognized, band like K-pop that was recognized just, in the Oscars the other night. They're globally recognized because of social media. And so if you're a hot brand, in retail, or if you're a hot music group, or you're a hot movie, or whatever it may be, in today's social media economy that we're in, you're immediately recognized. And as I've visited our stores there in London and other places, it's amazing to say they know how to say the name. They know what we're known for. They know we're closed on Sunday. I mean, they know all kind of stuff, and we're just doing market entry. So I think it's pretty exciting to see that taking place.
Probably the number one question I'll have people ask when they hear that we are going international, we're expanding international, is why are we going international? There's plenty of places in the States that people want Chick-fil-A. I thought you gave a great explanation not long ago about the reason why we're going international.
Yeah. Well, one is so that operators won't complain to us, not in my backyard, because they don't want us opening up another Chick-fil-A restaurant 2 miles down the road if it's not going to be theirs. And so it gives us a lot more breathing room and keeps us in a good state of mind with our current operators. Just go ahead, keep opening up restaurants over there. Keep investing back in my store. Give me some new drive-through capabilities and so forth. But I would say that it's an anticipation of where things are headed, and it's ambition of growth. And if I could give a word of encouragement to everyone here, for the sake of the next generation, for the sake of the financial health of our respective businesses, but especially for the sake of the opportunity of creating jobs for other people, we as business people, we've got to have an insatiable appetite to want to grow our business. We've got to be hungry. We've got to be ambitious. There's a right and a wrong, degree of that word, obviously ambition, but I use it in the sense of opportunity. Now, lean forward. Maybe your career's been satisfied, but for the sake of the next generation that's coming along that need to be mentored by the lessons of life that you've learned, let's grow our business. Let's lean forward. Let's develop new systems and processes that give us the capacity to grow without compromising our values and keeping the main thing the main thing. I would say that as ambitious as we might be about growth, it's very important for us to stay very centered on our calling and our purpose. We talked with the hospitality. It's Arch that's here. Had some representatives. We were talking about hospitality, and got some hands raised over there. But, the way we treat people, regardless of artificial intelligence, artificial intelligence can be a great tool for us. I checked at a hotel over in Singapore a couple of years ago, and when I went into that hotel room, they had personalized that room, and they had gone on the internet and found pictures of me and my family, and they had put those in frames in my room and by my bedroom and in the bathroom and so forth. It's remarkable, but it's personalizing, taking these tools and personalizing, and really the future of expert service is more and more personalization that we're going to have. I love it when I get into Enterprise Rent-A-Car or Hertz, whatever, and I just walk out there and jump in a car and drive off, check my license, and pick a car, kind of thing. But they've got all the back-house systems that it made so easy, so convenient to get in and move. But while we have this technology, the purpose and the calling is very important for us. As we think about mentoring people, just for a moment, I was listening to a podcast in which Steve Harvey was being interviewed by John Maxwell, both of which have been friends for a number of years. And Steve Harvey said this. He said, your career is what you're paid for, but your calling is what you're made for. And we can either have a job, we can have a career, or there's something even beyond a career in which we find God's special purpose for each one of our lives. And nothing brings us more joy than to be in a place where we feel like this is exactly what God designed me to do. I was either going to be a professional trumpet player at the age of 17, or I was going to work with my dad. And the trumpet mentor that I had made a lot of bad decisions in his life, and it was so discouraging to me. And I decided that God's calling in my life was going to be to work with my dad. We just opened up our third or fourth shopping mall location, and that's what I did. So all of us have the opportunity to reach back to young people that are coming behind us. And we can say, you can work for me, and this could be a job. You may decide you can make this a career and help them understand the kind of training, commitment that would be the difference between a job and a career. Or you could have a deep sense, perhaps from a spiritual standpoint even, of God's calling on your life. Psalms 139, talks about how God incredibly built us and wired us. I was wired for hospitality. I love picking up paper. I love cleaning up around the restrooms. I love doing table touch-ins. I found tremendous joy in that. I was in two of our Chick-fil-A restaurants on Monday, one for breakfast, one for lunch. And the one I was at for lunch in Brunswick, man, I pulled in there. I thought Home Depot must be giving away hammers. Look at all these people. Only to realize that was the queue line for the Chick-fil-A that was there in Brunswick, Georgia. And I finally got in there. The lines were wrapped around the building in front of the counter. So I went down, I did a little QR code scanner, and I got my food delivered to my table. It's really cool. I love using that technology. But being able to keep the main thing, our corporate purpose, is it okay if I share that? I'm going to do it anyway, whether you... So let me tell you the big why. Y'all ready? The big why Chick-fil-A. Simon Sinek says we all need to start with why. He wrote a book about that title. And when we're talking about mentoring young people, if we don't explain the why, then we've really missed it. And I also listened to Instagram recently, and it says when you're getting ready to say something important, you need to slow down. I usually get excited and I start speeding up. So this is a new skill. Here's our big why, developed 43 years ago. To glorify God by being a faithful steward, of all that is entrusted to us, and to have a positive influence on all who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. That glorify God, that's kind of unusual to see that in a corporate purpose, but I would refer you to our national motto. I'm sitting in the parking lot, and I had to go back and do my homework because I knew it, but I wanted to get the facts back in my head. Do y'all know we're about to have our 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence? And probably half of you in this room would not even know what our national motto is. You know, go back to your work and ask, what's the national motto? You'll be lucky if 3 out of 10 people know. But it is in God we trust. The history of that goes back to the 4th stanza of our national anthem that was penned back in our independence from Great Britain. And that was when then it became in the Civil War, the Yankees, the Union wanted to have God's omen of blessing on their cause, and they put it on our coins for the first time in 1865. During the Eisenhower administration, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, another moment of real concern for our nation, we then put it on all of our paper currency, and also Congress enacted this is going to be our official motto for our nation. And so for Chick-fil-A to have a corporate purpose that says to glorify God is really an alignment with our national motto that we should have. It speaks to humility. It speaks to inadequacy. It speaks to acknowledgement of the real source of wisdom and knowledge. And the more we as business people can learn how to embrace our national motto and talk about it in a respectful way, realizing we got a lot of different faiths that are represented within our organization. You do as well. But we need to acknowledge the Lord. The Bible says that if we'll acknowledge him in all our ways, even while we're selling chicken, he'll direct our path. That's a pretty good deal. It's with kind of like my wife when I go into groups of people. She said, you didn't even acknowledge me. I got so carried away shaking hands and giving away cards for Chick-fil-A sandwiches. You never even acknowledged me. So I've learned in my marriage after 52 years that if I'll just acknowledge her, it'll lead to a happier marriage. For me, it's really pretty simple. That's all she asked. But that's all God asked of us.
That I don't have in training. Clearly I need it. But let me pause on that. Let me acknowledge my wife of 30 years, Amanda Williams, in the front row. Hey, thank you. Whew. I dodged that bullet. Thank you. Thank you. Good job on that. Dan, as we're getting shorter on time, you even mentioned on that topic something I didn't know. You were called back to testify to Congress about 30 years ago. Do you mind speaking into that? Because that ties right into the North Star of our corporate purpose, in God we trust. This has been a theme that's been happening for the entirety of your family business. Do you mind speaking on to that?
Sure. Well, I got an unexpected call from someone in the office of Senator Howell Heflin, who is a senior citizen in Alabama, and this is senior senator from Alabama, asking, there were some hearings with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission related to religious expression in the workplace. And what was being proposed is that if there's any objection from anyone within that employment related to any form of religious expression, whether it be of the Jewish faith, Muslim faith, Christian faith, even Presbyterians and Methodists and so forth, if there was a cross on your lapel or a Bible or any type of religious expression on your workplace, if anyone objected to it, then the employer was responsible for, quote, sanitizing the workplace of any religious expression. And so there was, we really wrestled with that. I was advised from our attorneys, Trout and Sanders, that we were invoking the wrath of EEOC if we testified at that hearing. But I just felt a real conviction that I needed to be there if I was asked to testify. So we had rehearsals. I had imagined the Watergate hearings, that will have the drama. It was not nearly that dramatic, but it was an experience I'll never forget. So sometimes we're called upon to have to stand by our convictions and our principles, and it may put us in some really, really difficult place where we just ask the Lord, please give us courage to say, and give us the wisdom to say the right thing. And we still, if we're at the top of our game, every one of us in here, we're gonna have to depend on God to give us strength and courage to say what needs to be said, to do what needs to be done, to embrace others with compassion and kindness and love. And that's what we're all called to do, I believe.
Probably one of the number one questions I'm asked in the community or anytime I do a speaking event is the origins of being closed on Sunday. Are we ever going to open on Sunday? And would you mind bridging that gap on the thoughts between Sunday to Monday for us?
So the origins of being closed on Sunday had nothing to do with anything spiritual, to be honest with you. My grandmother, my dad's mother, operated a boarding house in South Atlanta, and my dad just kind of gravitated to his mother. She was far more supportive and encouraging and affirming than his father was, who'd gone through the Depression, and he had a very negative attitude and was very difficult to live with. So the refuge for my dad was working with his mother in this boarding house. And Dad says that he had to wash dirty dishes on Sunday afternoon. He had to shuck corn, shell peas, and he hated working on Sunday afternoon when everybody else was having fun. And said even as a kid that if he ever got in the restaurant business, it'd be closed on Sunday. Most restaurants were closed on Sunday anyway, back in the 20s, 30s, and then in 1946 when he opened up. So they opened up on the 23rd on a Tuesday, 23rd of May, 1946. He and his brother looked at each other. There was a 24-hour day restaurant, and as they were approaching Sunday, they made the decision on a Friday, Saturday, we're going to be open on Sunday. So they decided to be closed. They were exhausted anyway, and they were closed that first Sunday. Again, Sunday trading was not big at that time, but they continued to stay closed on Sunday. When we started opening in shopping malls, that was not a big Sunday day either to begin with, and then they got into holiday shopping areas, and so we were still closed, and we just made that our practice. But I like to tell people that we do more business in 6 days than our competition does in 7 by our nearest competitor by 3x. 3x. And average unit restaurant sales. So I tell people our food tastes better on Monday because we're closed on Sunday. Now, I talked to some accountants back here, and y'all may not agree with this, but we find that just the incremental smiles on Monday, because we took the day off on Sunday, we rested, worshiped if we so choose, and the incremental smiles that we have on Tuesday, and the little bit faster drive-through on Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you accumulate that little extra margin of improved customer service that more than makes up the fact that we're closed on Sunday. And over time, if you look this up, we're now in the top 10 of the most trusted brands in America, with Apple, Amazon, Clorox, and some others that are there. Because great brands are trusted brands. They're reliable, they're consistent, and that's what a brand is. A brand is a promise, and if you're part of a brand here, you want to make sure you're consistently delivering on that promise with systems and processes that make it happen. So it's had a big impact on a lot of people. A lot of other businesses have either practiced that or other elements of expressions of a real both courageous stand, and as a result, they tend to prosper over time.
I know as a franchisor, and my team is so incredibly grateful that we get to honor Sunday so that they can go worship or be with their families. So we do appreciate the commitment to that. Last 2 questions as we wrap up, short time. We talk about culture, and you mentioned it as pastoral care for our teams. Do you mind diving into that and the responsibility that we have on caring for our team and this idea of pastoral care within our own organization?
Peter Drucker is credited as saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast, either breakfast or lunch. I'm not sure which meal occasion that is, but the idea of the norms, the behavior, principally from leadership or ownership, is really the deciding difference between those businesses that outperform the competition. And it's all about interpersonal relationships. if I were to write a book on leadership, one that I don't see referenced as often as I think that should be referenced, is the idea of pastoral care that we as leaders should have for employees that work with us who have a lot of life issues and things that are going on. It could be the death of a spouse, or all kind of traumatic things that as we all do life together. And when a leader reaches out and makes a phone call or shows up at the hospital, or I had a lady that's been working with me for 17 years, her sister's husband took his life, and very, very traumatized. And I knew I needed to make a house call. I had to go and visit with Carol Williams and her daughter, her sister Dana, whose husband took his life while we were at the Next out in San Diego. And we show up. And we show up at funerals. We show up with all kind of Chick-fil-A stuff. And when I go to a funeral for somebody related to Chick-fil-A, usually there's more Chick-fil-A people there than even family members and so forth in the community. But that's how we show up for one another. And so I would just encourage you to make those phone calls, have a tender heart, a compassionate heart for people who are going through hard times in life. When we show up, it has a huge impact. My dad, I crawled up on the roof of our dwarf house when I was back a teenager, and he had heard that our night manager, Charlie Sealock, was drinking on the job during the night, and he was throwing his beer cans up on our roof. I climbed up the ladder with my dad on that rooftop, and sure enough, all those beer cans were all over up there, and surely I knew that Charlie Sealock, that was the end of the line for him. But when I came later, a week or so later, I asked Dad, tell me about Charlie Sealock. He said, well, he's got a real alcohol problem, and we decided to get him in an Alcoholics Anonymous program, and he really needed some help. And I learned a very, very valuable lesson that in the space of a long employment, we're going to all hit a low point, where we do something stupid or foolish. And boy, thank goodness that somebody can extend grace to us. I find when I think about the grace that God gave toward me, it makes me a whole lot more graceful and gracious toward dealing with other people. And so Charlie ended up with a 28-year career. The ripple of that decision to get him into a program, that rippled all over not only our business, but customers found out about it, and they knew he had a problem even before we did. And so when we extend compassion, talking about culture, and grace toward other people, when we show up in those moments of tenderness and brokenness, we show up there just to stand alongside. It means the world to people, and it dramatically affects the business. And I'll tell you what, it gives a lot of fulfillment for the leaders too. It's the most joy we can have is beyond just long lines to the drive-through, is showing up for people. It's how God wants to help us deal with our own issues. He who refreshes others will themselves be refreshed.
And I will sit here, guys, and tell you, absolutely. Dan's not just up here saying this. I had my own kind of crazy health journey over the past year, and repeatedly I was getting checkup messages from Dan, voicemails from Dan throughout the entire year. And I think about the depth and scope of schedules and people that he knows and responsibilities that you have. And what you're saying, you're not just saying words. You literally live that out. I'm so grateful for your friendship and that the fact that you care enough to reach out and you genuinely live out what you're talking about today. I've been a beneficiary of that, and I'm just so appreciative. So thank you for that. Last thing we're going to wrap up with, short time. You are involved in so many other things outside of Chick-fil-A. You are now bringing that Chick-fil-A influence in a whole lot of different areas. There's this thing called Trilith. You've got something going on with soccer. Do you mind sharing with them just where your hands and where your influence is now spreading outside of the brand of Chick-fil-A?
Well, I love the city of Atlanta. There's a time in which you begin to really give back. They're engaged with our mayor, Andre Dickens, and some of the things, issues and challenges that we deal with, affordable housing and all kind of issues in Atlanta. I'm very enamored with wanting to build a 17-acre park over the downtown connector. This is I-85, I-75. It's about a $700 million project. I'm getting involved in federal funding issues related to that. And I gave it my best shot for about 7 years. And I've set it aside. You need to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And after 7 years, I had to set it aside. It was a very hard thing to do. But I turned my attention to the film and motion picture industry. Georgia passed some very aggressive tax incentives, and we began to build sound stages for Marvel and Disney and now Netflix, and DC Comics is on the lot right now. But it's the opportunity to influence society and culture through film and entertainment, a very important part. We're in a performing arts center here. What you do here at the Riley Center in performing arts helps you as an employer attract world-class talent that we all need to work for us. And families that really care about their children, they want opportunities. The conservancy that's here. I went down through there, the halls were dark and we flipped on the lights, and I'm anxious to find out more about that, because I know that a balanced community that flourishes, that the arts, and my heads up to all the arts people that were acknowledged earlier here and what they do. But if you don't have a well-balanced community that includes the arts, performing arts, dancing, acting, singing, and so forth, the triple threat as they call it, then it's going to impede the overall growth of our economy. And so we have to be well-balanced in that. So at Trilith, can I tell you the purpose of Trilith? The word Trilith means gateway or portal. So somebody told me when you say something important, you got to slow down. You remember that from a little while ago? So here's our purpose statement. We had some Chick-fil-A folks that were recently at Trilith. So at Trilith, we set the stage and enrich the lives of the story makers who inspire the world. And you get on a Delta airplane and you'll see at least 5 or 6 movies on there that came off our lot in the last 10 years. And it's just a continuing theme of being obedient to God's calling in our life, being able to be bold and courageous, knowing that his calling on our life will also be met with the provision to accomplish the big, hairy, audacious goals that God has set before us. And it just keeps us in a posture of gratitude and thankfulness, submissiveness, yieldedness, so that his work can flow through our life. And the film entertainment industry, entertainment in general, is sorely lacking. The arts used to be an expression of our religious awe of the awesome God that we serve. But we've given it over to government and own. And this is an attempt to kind of recapture the beauty and the art and the importance of storytelling in a positive way for society and culture. You mentioned U.S. Soccer Federation. We're under development of a 200-acre campus, 17 pitches for the United States Soccer Federation is building their national headquarters adjacent to our Trilith studio operation. It opens up on the 7th of May, right just months before the World Cup, in which we'll have some of those games in Atlanta. So if any of y'all are into soccer, I'm excited about our Roberts family here that's expanding the World Equestrian Center to include lacrosse and soccer. They were just up there a couple of weeks ago looking at our synthetic turf that's being used on a couple of our pitches. So you guys just continue to stay relevant to this economy and vibrancy, and anytime we can partner and learn together, that's what we like to do.
So guys, I want to be cognizant of and be respectful of your time. It's 9 o'clock. I know your employers are ready for you to get to work. If you will, join me in thanking Dan, T, Cathy today.
Appreciate it. Thank you to Dan, Cathy, and Jeremy Williams. One more round of applause to our great speakers. Next month, our speaker will be Judge Timothy McCourt, the State of Florida 5th Judicial Circuit. Our April sponsor will be SMA Healthcare. As always, our series sponsor, HCA Florida Healthcare. It's March. Don't forget to fill out your bracket, and let's make every day in the Ocala Metro an exceptional one. Network on, everybody.